Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is a special call meeting of the Commissioners Court of Cook County of Texas pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act. Today is Friday, Friday, February the 5th, 2021, 9 a.m. We're in the Cook County Courtroom, the historic courthouse located at 100 East Pearl Street, Granbury, Texas. The first item that we have to bear is discuss and take appropriate action for the line item transfer budget amendments as follows. Anytime we talk about line item amendment and budget transfers that you, Ms. Kidd,
Yes, sir.
would you please approach and explain?
Judge, Commissioners, this is just a budget amendment to get sufficient budget and salaries and benefits to move forward and hire people, dedicated employees to manage the volunteers and the data entry. And we'll just need this in place, and it's just a simple.
You put it up, Becky, because we got people in the back of the cave here.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, yes.
This is
Why don't
just.
you make a seat there so that you can put it out in front of you. There you go.
This is a line item transfer to get the salary line increase and the the benefits line increase so that they can move forward with hiring some people to man volunteers and get the data entry done. You want people that you can depend on, you know they're going to be there, and that's what we're trying to do. And this is part of the Fund 101, that's the CARES revenue that's been famously called unanticipated revenue. And that it was anticipated until we got it. I'd like to clarify that because that seems to have been a topic of discussion. It's unanticipated until it's in the bank, and I don't count it till it's in the bank. And so, yes, it's been said many times, we knew it was coming. Yes, I hoped it would come. And I'm so thrilled that Jay has done everything he needed to do and got it as quick as we did. There are other counties who don't have a dime. And in my 22 years here, I've seen them take 7 years to complete. So until it's in the bank, it's unanticipated revenue. But this is all this is to get some budget in there for salaries and benefits.
So it's money from CARES that's already in the budget.
Cash is there.
Line item transfer to take it out of a certain place and put it into another line item budget that we could pay volunteers that are helping administer the COVID vaccine.
Yes, sir.
That's what the money's for anyway.
That's the best use of it I can think of.
Any commissioners have any questions?
I've got a comment, and I'm going to do this with a smile on my face. And it's Friday, and thank goodness it's Friday. And I know we're going to talk about this next week, but I just want to point this out that, and we can cover this next Tuesday. But this is a meeting that I received notice of this meeting about 72 and a half hours before the start of this meeting. So according to the Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.043, that gives you the rules on notice of a meeting. But no one ever spoke to me about this in advance. Nobody said, hey, this is coming up. What do you think? Or are you going to be available? So I just wanted to point that out. My understanding is that Commissioner Andrews was not notified of this or told anything about it until we actually saw the notice of it. So I hope we can cover this next week. I don't know if anybody else knew about this before the notice went out. I'm assuming the judge noticed this, but I hope we can cover this next week because we have been talking about the rules of decorum and being up front with everybody and letting everybody know what's going on. So I just want to point that out.
Well, Mr. Eagle, I don't know of anybody, you never do consult with me about anything that you put on the agenda. I got a notice from Becky that said we needed to make this transfer so that we could have money in the account to pay the volunteers that were coming out here administering and helping with the COVID. It's a
Yes, sir.
COVID expense, and to also maybe pay food for them so they wouldn't have to leave, and we could provide food for them. So there was other expenses too that we needed to do. And so pursuant to, we followed the rules to get this on as soon as possible so that we could have money to pay these people. I mean, they were performing COVID activities, and this is the money that we got from CARES Act. I mean, what more do you want with money that we got from CARES Act to provide for people that were helping administer the vaccine? If this is not related, I don't know what is. But,
And Judge, I know you're aware that Jay had anticipated this vaccine to come on a certain day. It got here early, so they had to hit the ground running. And I've been out there and watched this process for two reasons. As an auditor, watching our money to see what's going on with it, and as a volunteer. You cannot imagine how smooth this went. For as little time as they had to put this together, I can't praise that group enough. Enough volunteers, enough people. They're getting the nursing homes through there. This is the best thing we've done for Hood County this year, probably in a year. Ever since we've had this pandemic hit, you're getting people vaccinated. I can't say enough good things about it. I really can't. But thank y'all. Thank everybody who's involved.
So the reason we're doing this on outside the regular meeting, because we really didn't know that we were going to need this until the vaccine showed up. And so happened it showed up in between courts, so we couldn't do it in a regular court meeting. Yet we've got people out there working now, and you need to get
Yes,
the
sir.
transfer done now, or else people can't get paid for what they're doing. Is that?
That's correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The call that I got last Friday said the shots were to be delivered sometime today. They got delivered Monday.
correct.
And, Jay and the fire marshal and the other people working down there, along with all the volunteers, pulled up their bootstraps, so to speak. And what was supposed to happen next Tuesday happened Wednesday.
Yes.
That's the reason, we're, here today, is because everything got moved back to the left, before it was scheduled. And I want everybody needs to understand and know that.
Hit the ground running doesn't even cover it. But the city has donated 10 paid volunteers, the school district 10 paid volunteers, and the nuclear plant has 6 volunteers that they're sending they're on their work day and they send them over to help.
And I did a walkthrough on Wednesday around a little bit before 11, and everything was clicking, like it should. It was actually, working quite well for under such a short notice that all of a sudden, boom, here's the shots, 4 days earlier than what was anticipated.
And you can thank
Everybody needs to understand that.
that is Jay and Ricky and Jeff and Monica. These people have busted their behind to get this done, and they have worked tirelessly, and I can't thank them enough.
And one other person needs to be thanked, and that's Dr. Jeremy Flynn,
Yes.
for allowing us to use the school administration building, because the layout of that school administration building, I know that Jay and Ricky especially were working with Dr. Flynn and the way it's set up. And I see one of my friends out here in the audience, is Kathy Cruz, who has written me a lot of emails in the last 2.5 years, some of them a little sharp. But this one, I was so glad to read. I just looked at it and I was kind of cringing, Miss Cruz. But I was glad to read that it was so complimentary about complimenting the entire county employees and the city employees and everybody else, that so many citizens have come up to you and said what a wonderful job they were doing, how seamlessly it was doing, how little time it took, and how they were moving everybody through the procedure so they could get their COVID shots in and out. I was so glad to hear that from you, because usually I hear the other side from you, but we're on the same side on this. And I was really glad to hear that. So everybody has said that. I've gotten calls from all over, from a lot of people, and I agree with you. I think this is the best thing that we've done in a long time, and I hope we can continue to do it. So in answer to your question, here, Commissioner Eagle, I didn't know about it either because of the move-up day. I thought it was going to get the vaccines this Friday. We got the vaccines on Monday. They needed the money to be the line item transfers. It came from COVID money, from CARES money, to be used to pay directly CARES COVID expenses. I just can't I don't understand what the problem could be with that. So,
Well,
anyway.
there's not a problem with it,
Well, thanks.
except I just pointed out a procedural comment about our rules of decorum. I'm just now hearing about all this just now. I talked to you, Becky, yesterday, and you told me you knew nothing about anything except this
No.
budget. Yeah, except the budget amendment.
That is not our conversation at all.
I'm talking right now. That's what you told me.
No, let.
So here's the deal. All I was bringing up was a procedural issue. Nobody said anything to me about this. If the judge didn't put it on the agenda, that's fine. Whoever put it on there, put it on there. But it would be nice, as a professional courtesy, whoever put it on the agenda knew it at the time they did it, to say, hey, by the way, I want to give you a heads up. This has come up. This is what happened. Where I can go, oh, okay, cool.
So you want me to do what I've done in the past and sit down and talk to you about everything, and then you bring it to court and we go through it all over again, and you twist things?
No, you're twisting things
I'm
right
talking
there.
now. I'm talking.
Hey, let's have some decorum here.
My
What's
assistant
trigger?
was in my office when I had the conversation with you. She heard all of it. So she knows exactly what I told you. This is a good thing for Hood County. A good thing. And I cannot imagine that you're fighting this and fighting me over trying to do a good thing for this county. I'm very disappointed. And that's all I have to say. Gentlemen, if you would please approve this budget amendment, I would appreciate it very much.
So in answer to that, before we do that, all I brought up was a procedural issue to give us some sort of notice and heads up. You're making this into a substantive issue. I actually have no problem with what we're doing. I just would like to be noticed of it. And just to add to this morning I meet with a group of folks who are, I guess you would call them in a above the age of people that are considered into the higher risk group, and they all have gone over here to the school and in the last couple of days signed up their wives, gotten their vaccinations over here at the school administration building, and they were all very, very absolutely complimented of how it's being run and how it's being done, and I was very happy to hear that. And I just want to let you know that I'm not objecting to what's been going on. I'm just pointing out that nobody bothered to tell us about it before it was put on.
And in our conversation yesterday, I encouraged you to go and help. I told you how well this process was working and asked you to come and look at it and help. Did I not?
No, but whatever.
Melanie, did I ask him that? I'm done.
Okay, here's the deal. When it came up to me, I was informed by Becky through Jay that we needed to have the money on a line item budget transferred from the CARES money to a line item budget so we could pay the volunteers and pay for their food and pay for other expenses related to COVID. I had no time. I said, fine. That was the notice that I had. That's why I called a special meeting at that time. It met the requirement of the 72 and a half hours. I had no prior notice of it either. As soon as I was informed, I immediately called the special meeting.
Okay.
Immediately.
Oh, okay.
I had
I'm not
nothing.
arguing about that.
Okay, well then that it made it, like you said. You had the 72 and a half hour procedural notice, never trying to do anything about that. Somebody brings to me, no commissioner can prevent anybody else, any other commissioner, from putting anything on the agenda. I couldn't prevent anybody from putting anything on the agenda. They can't prevent me from putting anything on the agenda. A department head, an employee, or citizen comes up here and wants them to put something on the agenda, you put it on the agenda. And then we discuss it and we vote about it.
Under the Open Meetings Act, Judge, you can't go talk to Dave and then talk to Jack or me about it. Once you get something like that, you could have talked to Dave. Then you couldn't talk to me. So you couldn't fill me in and fill in and vote. That's why we're having this meeting. So we're going to be very careful. Now, as far as the auditor, I suppose she could come talk to each one of us individually. But she can't get us together and talk in a group until we get here. That's why we're here.
That's why I said tonight, we talked about the same thing, about a welcome forum. If you talk to one commissioner about it. You can't talk to another commissioner about it. Let me tell you this. When Becky Kidd came to me and told me what the amendment was about, what the transfer was about, from CARES money into a line item budget to pay CARES volunteer, to pay CARES food, let me tell you something. Who could be against that? Who could be against that? I had no time. I immediately put it on and called a special meeting so we could vote on it as soon as possible. I didn't have any time to consider anything. I told my staff immediately to start working with everybody to get it on the staff, get the proper notice out, and that's what happened. And we barely did make it because I was informed on Monday when the vaccine suddenly arrived like we thought it was going to arrive on Friday.
And I was
So everything, I want to say this, everything was done legitimately, and as long as I sit here in this place, I am never going to do anything illegal or unethical. You can make a book on that. I've been a lawyer for 50 years, and I have never done anything illegal or unethical, and I'm not about to start at this late stage in my life. So, with
And I
that,
was in school trying to help. I was in Bryan, Texas, trying to do it from afar too, so everybody was trying to pull together to do this quickly.
that's right, and I can't wait till we get the rules and regulations set out that if we know that the train is gonna leave and that is Wednesday noon preceding a Tuesday commissioner's court is the cutoff date, then unless it's emergency, and I guess it'd be me and one other commissioner can't talk to anybody else to find out if it's an emergency, like something like this, paying for some money that they need to do. If it's an emergency, maybe we'll go ahead and try to put it on the agenda if we have enough time. I do not want to make exceptions. I want to know that you get the agenda item and all your backup information to the office. And we had an agreement the last time that Brenda Langford in my office, and even Beth Stanley in my office, and Shannon Kaiser, that's the administrative assistant for the Commissioner's Court, all three of them are working together to get out the agenda. They all like each other, they work very well together, and they do a great product. I'm very proud of all three of them. They work together and they have managed to do it perfectly every time. You agree with that, Becky?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's wonderful.
So, and that's the way we will do it. It will be done just like that every time. But once we decide that it's Wednesday, I've had people come in here with a Thursday afternoon or Friday noon or Friday evening. It is very, very hard, and I can have those three ladies come up here and tell you how hard it is to try to get all that stuff to us. In fact, it won't get to us. I have picked up my book many times on Monday at noon and have things happen that I have to take care of for county business and not get to read the stuff, the backup, until Monday night. And then I gotta be in court at 8 a.m. for my juvenile board meetings with Judge Walton and Judge Messina at 8, and then go into the Commissioner's Court meeting. I would like this stuff so I can read it, and every commissioner needs to read it, study it, and get any kind of opposing evidence that they need to contradict what somebody is doing. Let's get the truth out. It's just not one way just because you're sponsoring something or some citizen wants you to sponsor something, that may not necessarily be a good deal. Let's find out what is the good deal. What's best for all the people of Hood County? That's what we should be trying to do. So with that, if anybody else wants to say something like Ms. J.C. Lopez, because this is what you were saying about, it's item number 1, right? Jason? Into the microphone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, you can speak into that, because acoustic. Pull it right, there you go.
Whew. Madam and gentlemen. This is my first time. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Better.
I prepared it so that I don't forget anything that I would like to say against this.
We don't have a time, excuse me, we don't have a
I
time.
have it.
You have it?
Okay. I come today to ask the court not to spend public money on facilitating experimental vaccines in Hood County. If residents want to get the vaccine, then that's their choice. But I have a list of reasons why the court should not participate in this program. I have sources for everything I'm about to say, so if you need those, I can email them to you. Two main vaccines being distributed right now are Moderna and Pfizer. To date, Moderna has never had a single product win FDA approval. And if you feel better about the Pfizer vaccine, be aware that in 2009, they paid a $2.3 billion civil and felony criminal penalty for illegal and fraudulent branding. The US government in 2010 called Pfizer a habitual offender, persistently engaging in illegal and corrupt marketing practices, bribing physicians, and suppressing adverse trial results. Neither of these vaccines have been given FDA approval. Rather, they're being distributed under an emergency authorization. These are both the first ever messenger RNA vaccines, which change humans at a cellular level and may have long-term dangers we don't yet know. If these experimental vaccines end in disaster, the manufacturers have no liability under the Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act. Already, there have been hundreds of reported deaths of people who have received the vaccines, in addition to countless more severe reactions. This is in addition to the deaths and reactions within the test groups before these vaccines were launched, and this isn't just our country. We're not talking about worldwide. I would also like to note that with many other vaccines, both of these vaccines use cells from murdered preborn babies, human babies, in the testing phase. Finally, Fauci and other experts have already told us that the vaccines don't prevent us from getting COVID. They allegedly merely prevent the more severe symptoms. People have still tested positive after getting the vaccine, so we're still supposed to wear masks, avoid travel, social distance, and everything else that we have been subjected to for the past year. Getting back to normal is nowhere in sight, even with this vaccines. With all these concerns, I humbly ask Hood County to not participate with public money in pushing these vaccines on our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody else, any commissioner have anything else to say?
I did want to say this. I went down there and I must compliment the way that thing is running. It is smooth. It is working very well. I actually spent some time behind the scenes with some of the data entry, and that is where the bulk of this time is coming in. It's somebody comes in, it's a pretty short trip getting through, but some of the data entry and stuff involved in that is
And it's a quiet testing, and it's extremely important that you have a dedicated person doing this. So thank you for that comment, I appreciate it, thank you.
Jackie, there's some stuff that you said there that I've never heard before. That is, you brought some, I have to make a great pause on some of the things that you're saying there, and that's very concerning stuff.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I get Consumer Reports every month. In this edition, they talk about the COVID vaccine. They're the most unbiased magazine on the planet. They said you will not get COVID from it, and it is proven to be extremely effective. And I'm not sure about deaths. I've not heard of anyone, but I'm going to rely on that information because that is one thing I rely on with Consumer Reports, that they are absolutely unbiased. They look at every product and compare it, and that's what I read yesterday in Consumer Reports. Just telling you what I read.
Anybody else have any comment? Do I hear a motion?
So moved. To go
Okay.
transfer.
Okay. Motion's been made by Commissioner Wilson to transfer the line item transfer for the budget amendments from the emergency management, increase the EM planner salary, and decrease the Hood County management emergency management. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second been made by Commissioner Cotton. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I abstain.
Motion carries 4 to 1 abstention.
Judge, the second one is on the benefits part.
Right. Benefits is just to cover the FICA
Yes, sir.
and Medicare and taxes.
If you don't get the vote on that one, I can get out.
Okay, you want to do the same one again? Mr. Wilson, Commissioner Wilson?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I do.
Okay.
So moved.
okay. All right.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion to do the emergency line items to accommodate the FICA Medicare match for the emergency management. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain again.
Okay, motion carries 4 to 1 abstention.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, now, okay, there's one other item to discuss and take appropriate action regarding utilizing CARES revenue to support all expenditures regarding the COVID vaccine.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, a motion's been made by Commissioner Cotton for the county to take any appropriate action utilizing CARES revenue to support any and all expenditures, I put in any, all expenditures regarding COVID vaccine.
Second.
Okay, you said second, did you say second?
Second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Wilson. Any discussion?
I'm just, Judge, I got a question. This is kind of vague. So what is the vaccine hub? Is that just the expenses related to over here at the school with the school district? Or can you give me a little information on that?
Jay, can you come up here and address this?
So Commissioner Eagley, yes, sir, when I was talking to the judge and some of the other commissioners, it's asking and talking to Becky was, what did I need to do in order to be able to pay for lunches? We've got several things going on with that where we're getting some donated, but at the same time, if I couldn't get one donated or somebody else couldn't pay, to have money to be able to pay for that. Supplies that we need to set up or operate the hub at the school, which is like stanchions, pens, paper, any supplies that were needed to be utilized at that vaccination hub is what I was asking for permission to do.
Okay, so have we been designated? I went out on the Texas Department of Health Services website. This is on February the 3rd, and they list all the hubs. Have we been officially designated as a hub yet?
So 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, there was a call with all the mayors and the government and judges with NIMKID and Imelda, who is the assistant commissioner right under Dr. Hillestat at DSHS. On that call, she told the mayor, because he specifically asked her on that call, are we a hub? And her answer was yes, you've been designated a hub as a hub, and you will be allocated so many doses per week to do that.
Okay, so, well, I guess they just hadn't put it online yet.
There's some continual discussion even internally, Commissioner, between us and them that we're still trying to get, why does it not show where you're looking? And we can't seem to get the correct answer.
Okay.
But we do have a conversation that was discussed directly with the second person in charge of DSHS, telling us that we were designated as that.
So at the risk of getting rowdy, is there like a maximum? I mean, this is kind of like an open check. Is there like a maximum you're going to need, or do you just have no idea?
Right now, I don't know how long this is gonna go on, meaning how long are they gonna continue to ask us to do the county? And it's not just our county, we asked to be the regional hub to cover 4 counties. So we're looking at a 4 to 6 month operation, 3 days a week. I can tell you that I am spending wisely the equipment that we've already purchased to set the hub up. That's pretty much covered. It's just that continual little things that keep popping up that we need to make adjustments on, but the biggest expense was the discussion about the people and then the discussion about food or anything that may come up that I didn't account for.
Okay.
So you will be coming back. If there's any real extraordinary expense that we have any time limit on, you will come back here, get with Becky, so that we can go ahead and put it on the commissioner's court. So all of us will have time to study the issue and take an intelligent vote if it's something that is a big expense that I don't know what could be, but with this disease out there, you never know what's going to happen. But this is enough money to cover all the incidentals that we're talking about right now.
Yes, sir. And kind of clarification too is our biggest expense going forward is our paperwork packet. And that's about 7 pages, and that's costing me about $995 for every 1,000 copies that I need. And so we're having fast times to do that because I can do them in a quick way. And if we have to backfill, we're using our own copiers to do it. So that's the biggest expense that we know going forward. It's got to be every other week. I have to have that in order, because people, you tell them to register online and fill out the paperwork, but as we all know, over half of them every day don't bring that, so I have to have that paperwork for them to do for the record keeping. So lunch and that expense for the paperwork is our continual. So to answer your question, Judge, yes, if I have a wild, crazy expense that just comes up, I will ask first before I just do it, just like I did about this that all got discussed a while ago. When I got called at 10 o'clock, and we verified that everything, that we knew the vaccine was arriving. At 3 o'clock, I called Becky and asked Becky, what do I need to do? Because I'm still learning all this stuff on the procedural side, and then got with the judge. So a lot of that falling through the rocket ship coming out the gate was my fault to try to figure out what I needed to do, because my intention was to come visit with y'all on Tuesday, so we'd have a longer discussion with them. We had to make this go out of the gate this week. So I had to ask, can I start spending money doing these things before I got myself in trouble? So that's where the conversation came in, because I didn't want to be in here having to explain that I spent something without permission. So I can assure you, going forward, I will be asking anything extra.
Well, I think we would be remiss to not find where a limit is on this. I feel that we're, responsible to our taxpayers, because it is kind of an open check. What bounds are put on this? Where do we start and stop with that? And it's where's the end of this? I don't know. Is this even something anybody can answer right now?
I wish I had a magic end date, and we've had this conversation before you came on about, they told us we'd only doing this for 8 weeks, right?
Yeah,
and here we are.
That's the concern that this was, hey, let's flatten the curve for 2 weeks. And
here we are, going on our second year of doing this. I can tell you that the school district's paying for a lot of stuff. Comanche Peak Power Plant's paying for a lot of stuff. Texas EMS is paying for a lot of stuff. So everybody's pitching in to make sure that I'm not having to be the checkbook. It's a collaborative effort with a lot of people that is my team, to not do what you're saying, and not to give the perception to the public and our community that I've just got this endless amount of money that I can just willy-nilly. I mean, when you come and ask me, I can tell you where it's going. And if it gets to, we get a couple of commissioners' courts down the road and I see we're still there, and I'm gonna come back and I'll start having conversations with y'all, even as you come through. This is kind of what we're being told, and this is what it's looking like, so that you can kind of have an idea that, all right, Jay's already spent $200,000, he's gonna need another 200 just to get us to the finish line. And I'm just using those numbers, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm trying to answer your question as best I can I am trying to do my best to not just sit here every time I need a pen spend it. If I can find a way to get that pen or that whatever it is somewhere else, I'm asking the team to step up. And that's kind of when we talked about the meals. We've got a game plan where we've got sponsors that are sponsoring and purchasing our meals like on Tuesday. And somebody else is kind of picking up Wednesday. But then that kind of left a gap for Thursday. And so me and the power plant, like, we'll just rotate Thursdays. So it's not always falling on the county to have to purchase meals for 65 volunteers. They'll take it, I'll take it. So that's kind of what we're doing is, that's kind of what that plan looks like. Even with supplies, hey, I got that, don't worry about it, I will get it.
So if I could throw this in, I've got a detailed report of the Fund 101 that's dated January the 27th. And at that point, excuse me, at that point in time, we're showing a balance in the CARES Act fund, pile, bucket, whatever you want to call it, of 1.865469, $1,865,469. Does that sound right?
Sounds right.
And we just took out another 125 out of that for these.
We budgeted it. It's budgeted. Haven't spent it yet. It's budgeted.
But the budget amendment that was passed today, that 125, whenever it happens, will come out of that pot, right?
Yes, sir.
So that gets us down to 1.74 that's left in the pot. So, I mean, I would be more comfortable if we had some kind of top-end number that up to or whatever, because again, I think it's prudent for us with our taxpayers to say, well, give us a number. I mean, have you got some kind of estimate of what top-end number that you could live with?
I'll let her answer the number question, but I'm gonna tell you what my biggest expense gonna be, and he can back me up on this, Commissioner Andrews can, is the data entry. Because we found out yesterday, even though we put some of those people in, there was a button that we missed. That button determines that we use that particular dose that day. So if I don't have my data entered every day, then that affects my order for the following week. So I have 515 people to enter on a daily basis. So what I'm asking for the salary thing, that's my biggest expense, is to make sure I've got at least a minimum of 3 people every week going forward to pay for the data entry continually, so that I can continue to have Ricky the ability to ask for the doses for the next week.
But you got that, right? The 125 we just did. You got that part, right?
Everybody's been doing it based on volunteers or other people's staff to get me going this week. So I was asking for that to go forward. Yes, sir.
So again, I'm just on this COVID vaccine hub, I'm just trying to find some kind of.
I've got a good answer for you, Commissioner Eagle. So we won't have enough data for Tuesday's court to say where we are. That's pretty quick. You might have some, but on the last court in February, I'd like to make sure that it's on the agenda to show you guys how many people were vaccinated and what the money's been used for. And I think doing that once a month in court would help the public understand where this money's going. Will that work?
Well, yeah, I mean, that'd be great. All the information we can give the public is great. But again, we're getting ready to, the Commissioners Court's getting ready to vote on an open check. And I mean, to me, and I'm not, every agenda item we've done on budget or transfers has been a sum specific. And I
So
guess.
for right now, that's specific. That's how much I need for right now to see where we're going. I don't want us to be short or over. So that's why I would like to come back at the end of February and give you guys a report on where we are. Here's the money we've spent on salaries. Here's what we spent on supplies or food. However you want it, that's how you will get it, sir. And that should be a good idea moving forward, what we will need. None of us will really know. When you get 3 people who are going to be paid, they can only work 24 hours a week. So we have to be careful. We cross over into a different category if you have them work over 24 hours a week. So we're moving forward, going to be careful in everything we do and document everything.
I guess I must be dumb.
Sir, I don't think you're dumb.
I'm trying-
I don't know any other way to
But I
do
mean,
this.
I thought we did the salary part. I mean, I thought they did that.
Well, that's
we
what
got
will
to
show up moving forward. We haven't paid them. That's what I'm saying. At the end of February, we'll be able to say, okay, this is where we're spending money.
And that's part of number 2 that we're looking at right now.
Well, you're saying you want accountability. This is how I'm suggesting we do it. You want to
No, I'm not worried about it. The salary deal's been done. I mean, I'm asking about the item that we got on the table right now.
I think you're asking for a cap and you 1 million something that's left. What happens if we run out of that 1.7? Can't we come back to court and tell them stop it? We could just cut it off. If we decide that we don't want to spend any more money on the CARES Act or the hub, this court has the ability, if we're going to agree to do it, to spend money on the hub, we can come back and make an agreement. We're not going to spend any more money on the hub. That'll be our decision. It might be a tough decision to make, but so I'm not really concerned, Dave, that we're agreeing to support the hub with CARES money. If we run out of CARES money and we don't want to go to general fund to support the hub, the court could vote to stop it. So I'm really not afraid of trying to pin down a number, that's me personally, of what you're going to spend. You will show us what you're spending.
Yes, sir.
Every quarter, and if we see we're running, if we've got the ability to say, yes, you're approved to spend money on the hub, that's what we're trying to do. If we see we're running out of money, the court has the same authority to stop it.
We did a rough estimate. If you have 6 people working 3 days a week for 6 months with benefits, it would be about $250,000, if that. That's what I anticipate at the largest amount. That's why we started with this amount.
Even if we put a cap on it now, if we want to change that cap later, we can do it. So, I just think we're making an argument out of something that we can control as a court to not spend people's money any more than what we need to support the hub if the court thinks that supporting the hub is a good idea. Is that right?
Expand on that. Come back if we have time. This is a special circumstance. When we got this time, we wouldn't be here if the vaccine would have come when we were told that it was going to be here. We wouldn't even be having this meeting. It came early. We had to make arrangements now. I would expect if there's an expenditure that's coming up, that we will have enough time for y'all to come to one of the commissioners or me. We put it on the agenda and we go ahead and discuss it thoroughly and then vote on it. Even if it is the CARES Act, even if it comes from the hub, I want us to do it. But y'all have enough money right now for these incidentals to come up that we don't look like we're not doing our share, but we've got the nuclear plant, Lumina, we got the city, we got the county, the school, we got everybody that's pitching in on us that we want to be able to do our own to cover these incidental expenses. So we got the $100,000 now, but when y'all get into it and we'll know what's coming down the road, please come, put it on the docket so we will talk about it. So I don't think we could sit here right now and try to put a cap on anything. A cap is meaningless right now because we don't have enough information and it's fluid. It's fluid. Isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
That's my situation. I always want us to, if we have the time to do something, bring it to the Commissioner's Court. That's what we're here to do. This is the governing body of the county. Every citizen has the right to know what we're doing with the money. It's not a big secret. Don't want it to be secret. Want it to be totally transparent. And I think it is going to be transparent. I can't imagine anybody really not objecting to vaccinating the people that want to be vaccinated. Nobody is forcing vaccination. That's a big distinction. As well as bad as if they were hurting up people and forcing you to get a vaccination like we all heard. If you want to travel, have money, charge stuff, you have to get vaccinated. That's a different thing. Everybody that's going down here that's getting vaccinated now is totally voluntary. In fact, we do not have enough vaccines right now, and we're struggling to get. I was up late last night talking to both Representative Glenn and to Senator Birdwell about saying, please, gentlemen, please try to see if we can get more COVID vaccine for Hood County. I talked to both of them last night, yes.
So I want to try to answer Commissioner Eagle and Commissioner Anderson a little bit. So we know we're getting 1,500, right? So I know I can plan that hub to be 3 days a week. if all of a sudden they come in and say, we're only giving you 500 for next week, then that changes what I'm going to be doing the following week. Now I'm only doing 1 day. But then 5 weeks from now, whatever I did the first week, now I have to double. So in 5 weeks, my 1,500 that I'm doing this week goes to 3,000. So now I'm running 3,000 people through there because I gave shot number 2 plus shot number 1. So that increases my data entry to 1,000 a day. So 1 week may be this amount, next week may be this amount. So right now, because I'm not far enough down the road to tell you what that looks like when we start doubling our doses every day, it's hard for me to tell you an exact hard number. I would love to tell you I'm only going to spend $5, but I can't because I don't know what the future looks like based on the allotment I'm going to get every week. And then when I hit week 5, what my double up hits every day. Because if it's 1,500 every week and they keep that going, then week 5 starts 3,000 from that point forward every week.
Well, and I think, of course, there are a lot of unknowns at this point. But at the same time, isn't it our job to say, hey, Sheriff, you've got to have a budget for the year. We can't just say go spend what you want. Or not what you want, I'm sorry, don't I don't mean to characterize it that way, but we can't say, hey, go spend everything that you see fit to take care of this deal, and then come at the end of the year, we'll write a check and see how everything falls out. So what I'm looking for, and I think Commissioner Eagle's looking for the same thing. Can we put some sort of limit on this now instead of basically writing a $1.8 million check to deal with, to say, can we portion this out in smaller pieces? Not to hamstring you in any way, but to get a reasonable budget for now, and then we can come back, Tuesday or on the 23rd.
So I have clarification for both y'all. Are y'all talking about the salary part or the?
No, yeah,
We're
salary
talking
part.
about salary.
Yeah,
You're talking about just like
back to,
expenses?
Let me read the motion that's on the table, and it's been seconded. Like I said, I guess, maybe you need to get a big cheap tablet out, a big pencil to show me. But it says, discuss and take appropriate action regarding utilizing CARES Act money, which we've got about $1.7 million left, correct? Is that about right? So, to support all expenditures, not just salaries, all expenditures regarding the COVID vaccine hub. Okay, no problem, but you're telling us you don't know what that's going to be right now. I feel like I'm being asked to vote on an open item that you're going to let us know later. That's all, that's what my point is, unless we're going to say CARES Act revenue up to 1.7 million, and you want, we leave it, that's your top, then we can decide that can be the motion, and then we can vote it up or down. Is that what you want to do?
Let me explain. We've had the court where you weren't here and Jack wasn't here, and they did a budget amendment in that court that put money into 2 categories. I moved money into capital outlay to cover capital outlay expense. So that took care of that. And then the remainder of all the CARES money is in a line account, for the most part, called Cook County Emergency Management. There's a large budget there. You don't have to move any more money into that. The only thing we might have to do later is come back and say, hey, I need some more money to be moved budget-wise from Hood County Emergency Management into salaries and benefits. So you already have a large budget for any supplies you need. All you need is accountability, and you'll get that from us. So that the budget is well sufficient to do anything moving forward. Now, if you want everything he's doing in a separate line account, I can come back next court. We don't have time for Tuesday, but the next court, and I can say, okay, how much money do you want to put in a line account that is designated for only what we're doing in the hub? But again, we can allocate how this is, we can categorize this any way you guys want it. Whatever you want, it can be easily done. But you do have a well sufficient budget to manage any supplies that they need moving forward.
Well, Becky, if that's the case, then we don't even have to make a motion about this, because normally we will have enough time that if an expenditure comes up, Jay will have enough time to get with you, you get with me or one of the other commissioners. We can put it on the agenda and then vote on it before
Yes,
it's expended money, even out of the CARES.
You know, I just thought that the second item was just gonna be to discuss what's going on, honestly, what they're doing and how it's working. I really thought that's all it was going to be.
Okay, so we really don't need to vote on this then at all.
You passed the budget amendment, that's what I need to move forward.
Okay.
And we're all good everywhere else, sir.
Okay, so was that better? Then we won't have an open-ended type of deal. If they have an expenditure that's coming up, we will have enough time for them to bring it up, put it to a vote, so we can vote on it.
So there are, and hey, pardon the new guy here, but there are restrictions on, is there,
It's okay.
I'm trying to be responsible and transparent with taxpayer money. So if,
And that is why he and I are sitting right
sure,
here.
and please don't take this as any kind of an accusation at all. Mr. Webster, I saw you nodding your head earlier when we were talking about this. I think we're all on the same page. We just need to figure out how to say if, let's just say he comes in with a wild hair and says, today we're going to buy everybody a massage. Now, this is a
Never get
completely,
past me.
and I understand that. But
Nor
I
me.
have an obligation to the taxpayer to make sure that that doesn't get passed.
And that's why I'm saying,
So,
I will
what
understand
are-
every quarter. Whatever you guys want, we will be happy to give all the information, line by line. This, again, this is such a good thing for this county.
No, and I'm
We want to
not,
make this
I'm
as
not,
possible.
yeah, please don't take this as me attacking or being negative in any way. It's just, how do I fulfill my obligation to the taxpayer to make sure that this money is being spent, not being spent correctly, but that we're overseeing this money being spent correctly.
You get a report before court. It lines out the expenditures. Every quarter, you get a list of everybody you pay, how much we pay them, and what it's for. If you have any questions on that, you have my cell phone number. You call me, and we've had that conversation. Anything you want to talk about, call me. Call me anytime. I'm happy to explain anything. Anything, and everyone on this court has my cell phone number and can call me at any point in time. Don't sit there on a Friday afternoon thinking, I don't want to call or bother. You're not bothering me. If it's something that's bothering you, call me.
Well, and
I
I
will
guess,
explain it.
I guess I'm still a little unclear on this. Is the money spent, then we check it? Or do we?
You approve it in court, the checks are ready. And if you approve it in court, then the checks are sent out.
All right, I'm good with it then. All right, you're okay,
So
I'm
if you
sorry.
say,
That's
"Becky,
the,
I don't like this, it's bothering me," we bring it up in court and we can
Okay.
stop that payment right then.
okay.
There's always a mechanism to stop, and you're the last line of defense. You approve those in court, and then we send the checks out.
Okay, that's what I was looking for, is how do
I got your back, Ken.
okay, all right, I'm good with it. All right.
So I got a question for edification, sir. You talked about, like 1,500 and then maybe 2,000, maybe up to 3,000 doses, right? Have you got how much is each dose, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it? I mean, how does that figure, the price? Is that something the county's paying, or is it being furnished?
All of the vaccinations being furnished by the federal government to each state. And so therefore, it doesn't cost the taxpayers anything to get the vaccine. It's all being provided for free.
So all we're doing is just taking care of the administration of it and the logistics and getting it done.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
If we did not pass this number two, would it stop you from doing anything you do it now?
No, sir.
Well, then why do it's kind of superfluous that we're doing it?
I thought it was just to discuss what we're doing.
Well, it's a great discussion, but, I agree with Commissioner Eagle. It's not necessarily to open the checkbook. Let's go without it. I support that. I thought you needed that to do your business because you didn't know exactly what you were going to have to pay for. So you kind of needed to have some leeway to spend things that haven't gone through the court. That's not what I'm hearing now. You've got the money to do what you need to do.
That fund is called emergency management for a reason.
Yeah, I like Commissioner Andrews here. I have asked her. I mean, I can tell you I spend money at the state level all day long. I want to make sure, because I'm still learning just like he is on the county level, to make sure all of a sudden, we were talking about doing a hub, and then all of a sudden the phone rings and goes, congratulations, it'll be here tomorrow. Luckily, we'd already done a lot behind the scenes doing, so we were able to just do. But getting caught in the position I wanted to make sure that I could do what I needed to do going forward. And so I'm asking whatever I need to be asked. So yes, I do have a budget. that money that you're talking about is in my line item budget. So it is there, and I'm not spending it willy-nilly. I just needed to make sure, for whatever, that you knew what I was doing for this particular event that just came about.
Well, you know, at the risk of beating a horse, you know, whatever y'all have done since you got actually got the product in like Tuesday or Wednesday, y'all done a great job. I've heard nothing but good things. To those who want to scramble up and get a vaccination, and so I've had nothing but compliments for the organization, how easy it was for people to come through it, and I know some pretty critical people in the mornings that drink coffee with me, and so you guys have got an A+ on the way you put it, the way you conducted it, so I appreciate that. And this prior issues that we had earlier today had nothing to do with that.
Thank you very much for your compliments, and I ain't taking nothing personal. We got a job to do. You have a job to do, all of y'all, and I'm just trying to make sure I do that job within the rules so I don't get myself in trouble.
Good. That's it, it's on a high note then. So we don't have to vote on number 2, withdrawing number 2, and nothing else. Here for our adjourned special policy.